Hi, this is Michael Connors, and I'm at the Global New Energy Summit here in Colorado Springs. I'm with TJ Deora. He's the director of the Governor's Energy Office. And TJ, it was a great panel today, and thank you for moderating. But just some broader concerns. I'm really interested in your day-to-day with the governor. What are your goals and aspirations in the area of energy for Colorado? What to you is the perfect mix and dynamic environment for energy that you're trying to create?
Right. Go ahead. Well, thanks. So, thanks. Well, so we don't necessarily have a perfect mix out there. What we're really interested in is understanding what policies need to be put in place, or how the state can have a role in supporting an energy market that is delivering increased prosperity for the state of Colorado. And what that means, how we think about prosperity, is we think about four factors. We think about energy security, making sure we have access to the energy that we need to drive our economy forward. We think about consumer costs, making sure that energy remains affordable for all members in our society. We think about environmental protection, understanding how we can continue to ensure that we see a trend of increasingly sustainable energy resources in our economy, whether that be emissions or siting impacts or whatever. And then we think about those three in creating an ecosystem that supports positive direction on all three of those, that also creates an environment for more investment and more job growth. And so as opposed to saying we like renewables or we like fossil fuels or we like that, we like all of those things as long as we're seeing progress in the right direction on all four of those factors.
Are there 2 or 3 collaborative models that you see as being examples of, or highlights of the accomplishments that you've made that you would like to replicate?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So we have a number of initiatives that we're working on, and all our initiatives really are public-private sector partnerships. Again, in the energy sector, well, let me back up. Our office, we're really fortunate that, let me back up from that. Our office is not a regulator. Right, we're somewhat unique compared to the bulk of the roles of state government. We provide some level of service, but we're not primarily a service delivery agency. We are not a regulator like CDPHE or the Oil and Gas Conservation Commission are, but we really are trying to understand the markets and promote private sector investment in those markets. And so a couple of examples of places, one example place we've been very successful to date as far as making some first steps and look to continue to be successful is energy efficiency. And we've been able to develop a program that allows public sector entities to be able to contract with energy service companies to invest in energy efficiency retrofits for their buildings. So we're talking about state government agencies and buildings, but also school districts, also municipal governments, universities, and the like. And so we fill this role of being able to try to help the markets, which may have 1 or 2 barriers there. We can kind of push them over the finish line and connect these markets to work. So what we do in the energy services market is we've created a program where we provide consulting services that are paid for first by the state, and eventually will transition to being self-funded through the energy savings for these entities, school districts and local governments and the like, to be able to have some level of surety when they enter a contract with an energy services company that they're going to get the performance they expect. We look to leverage this model in lots of ways. One way we're looking to leverage that model is to the public sector. To the private sector. So thinking about this energy services contracting business has been very successful in the public sector, less successful in the private sector, and so we're working with folks in that industry to figure out how we can translate that success into the private sector. Another way we're looking to extend that is thinking about fleets. The EPC model, energy performance contracting model, has been successful for buildings, but has not been used in a widespread way for fleets. So thinking about, can we convert a school bus fleet to compressed natural gas or liquefied natural gas? Can we convert a mail truck fleet to electric vehicles? The state has a small fleet of mail trucks, and so it'd be great to see if we can convert those. And we think the energy performance contracting model should work very effectively there.
Okay. Can you also describe maybe some of the challenges or hurdles that you guys have been running into, whether it's public perception or funding, or just getting people on board, whether it is private industry or within the public sector as well?
Sure, sure. So we've been very fortunate as a state to have gotten our office funded through Recovery Act, or the stimulus bill. In fact, it was about $50 million for state energy program and $80 million for weatherization, low-income weatherization assistance programs. So a lot of money came through the governor's energy office at that time. And folks had a perception that the governor's energy office had a lot of money to place in terms of grants and subsidies and incentives and the like. Well, that money is running its course. In fact, we have to finish spending that money and start beginning final reporting this month. And so going forward, we won't have that level of funding to help with incentives, both that from that practical basis, but also philosophically, our administration has decided to shift focus. Instead of being about putting incentives in the marketplace to encourage behaviors, actually trying to understand the fundamental barriers that are preventing the private sector from making those investments. So whether it be unaccounted for pollution costs, and there's different mechanisms for making that work at the PUC, or accounting for those at the PUC or at the legislature, or if it's addressing issues around access to information, or even fundamental evaluation barriers. I mentioned earlier today that energy efficiency investment is stymied by the fact that real estate prices don't reflect energy performance. And we think if we can work with the private sector to understand how we can get that information into buyers and sellers and realtors and appraisers and underwriters' hands, we should be able to unlock private sector capital to make investments into energy efficiency retrofits without the need for government incentives or subsidies.
Fantastic. Well, this is Michael Connors at the Global New Energy Summit in Colorado Springs for ICOSA Magazine. Thank you.